How do we always get behind on inboxes? I think we should do like 7 inboxes in one. That's what you guys are gonna know. You're not. It's just regular inbox. All right, guys. This is the inbox. I want to announce that we are all, well, not all of us, not Kane, but Wendell and I and Spanx and a few other people. We're all going to Albert. We're going to PDX Land in Portland. I want to say thank you to Fractal. They're going to be sponsoring, and we're going to make kind of a Portland PDX awesome travel overview experience video. And that's, Fractal was like, would they want to sponsor that? And then thanks again to Sapphire. We're going to see Ed there. So thanks to those two companies. Just remember that they are supporting the LAN parties and that part of the community. Very surprising, this new layout here. The website looks a bit funny, Wendell. It's kind of weirding me out, man. What's up with this website?
I don't even know.
What's the sidebar? Sidebar. This is the
upgrade
sidebar.
Gremlins.
Yeah, something might be happening here. Well, you guys are looking at an alpha version of the new website. The color scheme is not final. I don't want to hear anybody yelling and screaming about that. We're playing around with things. It's very easy to mess with stuff on the new website as far as color scheme goes, but there's still we're 90% done with 90% remaining. So, but hey, you're going to get to look at it through this entire video. Let's go ahead and jump in and start answering some questions here. So the first question is from Dynamic Ranger, and it's about ad block on managed PCs. I should have read some of these questions first. What if this is a terrible question? What if Dynamic Ranger is just Dynamic Troller and this is, I don't know, let's go ahead and read it. This question is probably more up Wendell or Kane's alley. They've worked in corners of IT closer to mine, but I'd like to hear anyone's thoughts. I work for a small managed IT firm, and we offer a centrally managed antivirus. It works well enough, but users still manage to infect their PCs. Obviously, no antivirus program can make up for the users that have disabled out-of-date Common Sense 2015. That's pretty good. To help address that, I've considered installing AdBlock Plus in the browsers we pre-install in the systems for new workstations. So, okay, interesting. So he wants to know if you've tried this and if there's any hidden downsides. Yeah, that's basically it seems.
It turns out that's not really a big deal. Pretty much any MSI installer can be automated. The key here in a Windows environment is Active Directory. Do you have Active Directory? And if so, there's all sorts of fun things you can do. Other things you can do with Active Directory is prevent your workstations from actually running any executable programs from a user's profile. Most of the malware knows that the users don't have admin privileges anymore, but the malware is perfectly happy to, open up a port on the machine back to, wherever. And, in internal China, I guess these days, I don't know, Iran, I don't know, yeah. The malware is perfectly happy to, install to a user's folder, open up a tunnel back to Iran, and not really try to compromise the machine deeper than that. But it'll look for system flaws that will allow it to elevate its privileges outside of the user sandbox. You can head off most of that by just blocking executables from even being able to run from a user's profile. And if you think about it, that basically will work because you really want an admin to be installing software, so you don't want the users to install software. There are other programs that will also let you whitelist executables, and those work really well. So you can buy a commercial program, and it'll make a big list of all the programs you use, and if the program's not on the list, your machine literally cannot run it. That's a very good, effective strategy. Definition-based antivirus is dead. It's been dead a while. Don't use it. Use the whitelist thing. That'll work way better.
It seems like it might be a little bit frustrating for some of the more tech-savvy users when you limit what files they can and can't install. I know some of the companies I've worked at in the past. It's like I need to do my job, and I'm not always just I'm not trying to install jerkoff.exe. Sometimes I'm trying to install something to help me get my job done, and then it's like I have to call IT, and then if you're in a major corporation, it's like, yeah, you have to call IT, and that goes into the pipeline, and it could take 3 to 5 days, if not longer, before they even get to it because it's not a priority thing. So you are stuck, not being able to do your job. So I would say that would be maybe something not to put on the tech-savvy people's computers. I'm not sure if you can discriminate that way, but I don't know. That's my least favorite thing to do, but it is an effective security measure, especially for the plebeians and the people who don't know what they're doing with computers. I don't know. That's my 2 cents thrown into that.
It's kind of funny in the corporate and the enterprise world. there's tons of products that are coming out for self-service IT, which is sending all the IT people horrified from the room. But it's part of a bigger problem of bring your own device, because bring your own device is really popular. It's really popular with the bean counters in the organization, because there's somebody in HR that's sitting there and stroking their beard and saying, Billy already has an iPad. The company doesn't have to buy him an iPad. We can just make him install our apps on his iPad. But then, IT doesn't like that, because, you don't necessarily have control over the iPad. So that's a problem. And so there are device policies and software you can get to sort of control the iPad. And it's that way with phones and laptops and, God knows what else. And so the bring your own device revolution has been a blessing and mostly a curse for IT, because if you do the whitelist executable thing and it's somebody's personal laptop, that's not going to fly, because now they can't install anything on their personal laptop. So it's a little bit of a problem.
All right, moving on to the next question. Hopefully that took care of that. This one will be fun. If you could live, or if you could, where would you choose to live? And the question essentially is, it says, it seems that you guys don't really like living in the U.S. If you were given the option to move, where would you move to? Where do you think it will, quote unquote, be better? No ifs, though. Countries as they are, so we can't make anything up, I guess. And of course, why? So first off, I want to say that I don't exactly dislike the U.S. I dislike a lot of the corporate nonsense that's going on, and I dislike the fact that there's a lot of tyrannical behavior, in the higher ups, and yeah, we're kind of the rough, mean, bully country in the world. It's sad, but I do like a lot of the people that are here, and there's a lot of smaller movements, but they're not like mainstream enough to. The image of America, I guess, is a dude on a horse just riding around shooting everything. I think that's when you go overseas, and everyone, if you live in like the middle of nowhere, I bet I'm just guessing that everyone thinks Americans all have this thick Texas accent. I think Texas is kind of the America that people think of, or Hollywood, or New York, Wall Street. I don't know. All those may not be good things. Hollywood, Wall Street, and Texas. If you live outside of the USA and that's what you think of when you think of us, let me know. I'm kind of curious. Does anybody think of people from the USA as being like nice gardening people who eat healthy food and do nice things and love each other and whatever the crap? Anyway, I'm going off on tangents already. Should we just answer the question? I guess we should. Whittle, you want to go first?
I sort of, it's really weird. I always thought that I would want to live in a metropolitan area, but after having done so, it's like, I don't really care for that, as it turns out. I sort of like not as many people, because it turns out I don't like people. I like sort of doing my own thing. I like sort of working quietly, not like the Ted Kaczynski quietly, but sort of working quietly on my own projects. Not really bothering anybody or anything. Just sort of left alone, left to work on my stuff. And I think that's perfectly fine in America. The ideals that America was founded on, I think, are really great. And if you look at, like, this is crazy. It's like, how am I going to work Star Trek into this? It's like, well, hang on, let me work Star Trek into this. If Star Trek: The Next Generation, the political climate when that was made was sort of the Cold War with the U.S. and Russia, and there were a lot of episodes in the story arc where, like, Picard is finding internal corruption, and there's maybe hints of the military-industrial complex in Starfleet, and Picard is like super righteous and is like, no, we must behave well, we must lead by example. And so that's sort of been an inspirational thing. There are people that I've met in America that basically follow that mantra, and I think that it's a relatively small minority that have basically co-opted things here for the military-industrial complex and for sort of the corporatocracy and the corporate-industrial complex. And certainly that we're punishing these teenagers and these young kids for really relatively minor transgressions with a computer, and we haven't really done anything against the bankers or anything else like that. That's really troubling. But I think to abandon ship is to sort of throw the baby out with the bathwater. I don't think that abandoning ship is what's called for here. I mean, we need to give the country tough love and put people that are not career politicians in charge. The people in America have an incredible ingenuity, and I think if we just get off our butts, because we're kind of lazy. I mean, let's face it. If we get off our butts and do some stuff, I think that we could actually probably take over the universe, and not by military conquest, but by thought leadership and leading by example. I mean, we could very easily parlay the military-industrial complex into like the space mining complex, or the moon colonization complex, or the asteroid belt mining complex, or something like that. They're basically the same thing.
Yeah, I see. I'm a little different because I'm truly inspired by bits and pieces of nature. So, like, if I was going to be in the USA, my like ideal location would be Yosemite, but there's not a lot of internet access out there. I typically like to be inspired by my surroundings, even though I'm indoors a lot and I'm doing a lot of computer stuff. So, I've always tried to find a place that has a compromise of really nice nature. Inspiring nature, places to take hikes, and then good internet access. And there are not many places like that in the country. Most of the remote, beautiful places just don't have the best internet access. Now, there are some exceptions, and I've looked into those. However, last year I started looking very hard at Germany because freaking the Alps and everything, and I like German culture a bit. And a lot of my favorite music, a lot of my heavy metal that I like seems to come from Germany, the Black Forest area, Wacken Open Air. I'm really looking. I would love to go to that. I'm trying to get to it there next year, maybe this year. I don't know. Anyway, so I started looking at Germany, and then I started worrying about Angela Merkel because I'm not sure if she is very for net neutrality. It seems like she may be proposing some things that will allow internet fast lanes in Germany, and that's the wrong direction. And then also you've got Gemma. You've got all that nonsense. You guys have a rough time over there with the internet. And you've also are working with the NSA. So Germany, I started to look more at Switzerland and Norway. So I've still looked at both of them just because the beauty of nature is there. It would be a huge cultural change for me. We're going to go over there later on this year, probably for a Gamescom, and then I plan to, look around a little bit. We'll go through Denmark, Sweden, up into Norway, back down into Switzerland, possibly through Austria and Luxembourg, and then I'm not sure if we're going to fly out of Zurich or Milan, but I want to look at that entire area and just see how I feel when I'm there. A lot of it's, I'm a citizen of the world. I do think that America right now is in a place where they could use the help. And they are in sort of a leadership role. They may not be in 5 or 10 years. It's kind of going in that direction because they keep shooting themselves in the foot, and there's no feet left. Now they're just shooting themselves in the legs. But
it's not the Picard style leadership. It's the Kirk style leadership, and this is a problem.
Yeah, it's the Kirk style leadership without the vigilante attitude. It's more of like
and instead of the green alien girls, it's oil.
Rolling around in oil. Oh God, give me some more oil. So anyway, that's the part of the world that I've thought about living in. So, but I'm here for now, so I'll make the best of it. Yeah.
This conversation reminds me a whole bunch of some of the writings of Arthur C. Clarke. Arthur C. Clarke said, and he sort of expected it to happen in his lifetime, and it kind of started to. But it's not really there yet. He said that the rural properties are going to be vastly, vastly more valuable than urban properties, because he said he sees that the CEOs and the creative types or whatever are basically going to roll out of bed. They're going to go downstairs. They're going to have like a work floor or a work office or whatever. The whole thing is going to be a projection environment or monitors or TVs or whatever. It's going to be a fiber optic connection to, the internet or whatever the data medium is. And they're going to be able to, meet with everybody in their company. They're going to be able to zoom around the world. It's like I've got a meeting with the people in China at 9 a.m., at 10 a.m., with the marketing agency in New York, 11 a.m., with the logistics people in Texas, noon. I've got a noon lunch with another company that we're looking at acquiring, and you would just sort of do that from your rural villa wherever that was, and that wouldn't even necessarily have to be in America. I mean, it could be France or anywhere. And the only reason it hasn't come to pass is because the telecommunications companies have a stranglehold on our infrastructure. But if we had gigabit fiber everywhere, that probably would have already happened. I mean, one of the things that should be on your mind is, if you're under 30, probably under 40, is job displacement, and where all that goes. And so with job displacement is going to come working at home, because that's the only way that companies are going to be able to move their margins down. Like I could see people doing logistics for like Walmart basically from their home computer at some point in the future, because the software is basically telling them what to do, and then the only part that's left that a human being can do can do with the software. And it's kind of dystopian if you think about some of it, but
We've been talking about for a while, like, making a place in the middle of nowhere. One of the nice things about being in New England is that gigabit fiber is a thing, and there's local fiber in Maine and Vermont and New Hampshire and Massachusetts. There are places that have local fiber, and that also, I guess I could go ahead and answer this next question right here. What ISP does Logan use? Simpson Cake. Well, right now I actually have Comcast, and they've been okay. I'm running Comcast with a VPN, and I'm kind of okay with that. And here's the reason that Comcast is okay. The spot that I'm living right now, if Comcast does anything wrong, I can make one phone call, and I've got two local companies that both offer different packages. One is like a high-speed DSL that I can switch to. It won't be as fast as Comcast cable, but I can also switch over to fiber. There's a company that has laid fiber, and the only problem is that the fiber that is like $400 a month. But it would be probably a little bit faster than Comcast. And $400 a month for someone who's doing business is not unheard of. It's just, it's keeping Comcast in line. There's no data bandwidth caps here. And that's another thing about looking at different places around that have local gigabit fiber. There's local gigabit fiber in this part of the world, and it can be had for well under $100 a month. And you won't have to worry about throttling or bandwidth caps. It's beautiful, unmetered internet. And then we can build our little dystopian house in the woods. And the idea, I guess, would be if I was able to do that, and of course I don't have money to do something like that, but if I was able to put together something to do this, it would be bigger than the YouTube channel, and then we'd be able to maybe host some open source developers or just regular developers who are working on inspiring projects. But we've mentioned this a few times in passing, and I'm making some phone calls because I like the idea of having an inspiring environment with gigabit where you allow people to come, have a safe, distraction-free place to work on very cool projects. So that might be a thing. I have to build a few stories, lots of glass.
I'm not brave enough to do that, but we were very inspired by Eric S. Raymond's stories of his basement, where the transient hacker will come and produce mountains of code. They will produce their opus magnus, and it's in Eric S. Raymond's basement. That's pretty cool. We could probably have a think tank where sort of dirty hippie programmers do that. Is it a tad idealistic? Probably, but yeah.
I kind of want to do it. But see, I guess if I did one here in the USA, I would. I like to travel, so I would let it go and do its thing. And then maybe, a little bit later, I'll fly over somewhere else and do some stuff in China. And then maybe I'll make another one in Switzerland and have a second branch there where we just have these code rebels. Maybe that's a good name for it. Let's see what's next on the list here for questions. What hand cream do you guys use? My password is 666. I know your password, and it is the devil. Actually, 666 is the number of man. Everyone confuses that. The number 3 is completion, and the number 6 is imperfection. So 666 is complete imperfection. The more you know, rainbow goes over your head. But he thinks that my hands look awesome. They're awesome. So, what brand of hand cream do I use? Well, I actually don't use any hand cream. I just, I don't know. They're callous and rough. And through the magic of editing and color correction, we make them look beautiful on the internet. But I actually used my hands to sand this table down. Just no paper, just like that. These hands are made for gripping. And, I don't even know.
That's just what they'll do.
I'm not even, I heard it in my head, but I didn't let it come out of my mouth. Hand cream preferences.
And they'll grip something glue.
I know a couple of guys who use bull butter. What do you use? Any hand creams there? Cocoa butter, yes.
I'm looking at my hands, and there's so many little scars and dings and little pieces of missing skin. Turns out building robots is sort of a hazardous occupation.
The solder tips, all the little points that got you. And oh, you know what? Most scars come from I/O panels. Those things, you could use an I/O panel to cut a steak in half. Just pop out the little eye, the shield on the back, and just, oh yeah. Many hands have been bandaged from I/O panels.
I've got a couple like the large problems with my hand. I've got like sort of a calloused area where there's a piece of pencil lead that's embedded in there, and I remember when I got that it was like one of those let me run with a pencil and face plant, and it's like, oh my god, it's like let's go to the hospital, and they were like, well, it's probably all right, it'll probably come out, and then they were like,
Yeah.
well, we don't want to dig it out, it's probably fine, so
Just give him some pencilcillin, he'll be fine.
Maybe that was some sort of obtuse joke when we, when we require hand models, we usually volunteer pistol for that or somebody else, and they're like, "Oh, look, that's so lovely," and it's like, not us.
I wear jewelry and have long fingernails that are painted, and my hands are also much skinnier than they normally are. Only when I do videos. Those are definitely my hands. I don't know what anybody's talking about. Those are absolutely my hands.
That's where all the tech support budget goes, is like CGI arms.
Yep. All right, next question is from Rebrel2131, distancing yourself from Google services. I heard Logan talk about trying not to use Google services in a few tech episodes, and I'm wondering what he and others have done to replace Google services. We've answered stuff like this before. We may have even answered this question before, but you've got a video planned. I'll let him maybe just give him a couple bits, and then we'll go on.
There are some things you should check out if you want to distance yourself from Google. Check out Why You Know Host. I know we've covered that in the past. You can sort of get a self-service deal going where you do your own hosting. The reality is, if you're not going to use Google or Bing or something like that, that's free. It's free because you're the product. You're going to have to buy hosting and put your stuff on the hosting. Now, Why You Know Host, you can do that, or you can download a software image and do it on your own. You can go to Linode or anywhere and get like a $5 or $10 a month hosting package, and that'll give you a Linux server, and you can run all your stuff there. And so there's other programs. It's OwnCloud, OWNCLOUD. That is a Dropbox replacement. It's pretty solid. It's a little beta. You got to keep up with the security updates because it's a little loose around the edges a little rough around the edges, a little loose in terms of security. Colab, KOLAB. It's a sort of a really nice group application that'll give you active sync to your mobile device. I'm trying to think what else is handy. There's a ton of stuff on Why You Know Host. You can just go look at that, and when you look at Why You Know Host, there's all kinds of software packages you can look at, and there's more you can do with that, but that's a pretty good start. If you've got Collab for email and calendar and the whole 9 yards, and you've got OwnCloud for your files, that's 80% of it.
So we got some videos coming up very soon for that. Well, medium soon. we have too much stuff in the pipeline, I guess. We should get a plunger for all these videos we have in this pipeline.
About a third of that has been shot. I actually was going to do that on FreeNAS, but FreeNAS, they did away with Linux jails since they added VirtualBox support, so I have to go back and reshoot some things. But basically, one of the features of the new website with this whole how to be a nerd thing is like step one, we're going to tell you, it's like go and get a home server and build it. It can be based on a Raspberry Pi, or you can do a full-fledged machine, whatever you need to do. Our exemplar is going to be running FreeNAS, and with FreeNAS you can run VirtualBox, and so it's like you run FreeNAS and you have all your stuff and that's all well protected, but it's like, oh, I want a Linux box, oh, I want a Windows server, oh, I want to do a Minecraft server, oh, I want whatever. You're going to create that as a virtual machine within your FreeNAS box. And FreeNAS for integrity of the data, but also flexibility in terms of being able to run virtual machines. So you could run a lot of these services on your own home computer. You're going to look at SyncThing. We're going to cover SyncThing, which is a free sync program that lets you sync files between like your laptop and your desktop and your phone. Does not rely on third-party anything, and so you can be sure that your data is not being shared with third parties, which is awesome.
We have a question coming up about SyncThing. We should go ahead and answer that right now. We've got a where's that SyncThing question? I'll find it right now. But someone basically said, why is SyncThing better than BT Sync? There it is. I found it. Good time to answer.
The protocol is fully open source.
There you go. All right. Well, that was a quick way to jump to another question and get everything answered. Oh, another tutorial that is very I can't speak. Another tutorial here that would be very interesting. The streaming server tutorial.
So that would be a
So
virtual machine on FreeNAS, as it turns out.
I was able to get this. We should probably do this in 3 different steps because we are all doing 3 different things with the streaming server. I've configured my streaming server locally on my Windows box, and it is essentially taking the feed from Open Broadcaster and it's sending it to both Hitbox and Twitch TV. And I may be able to add in some more services. I haven't fooled around with YouTube yet. I'm not sure if I can stream to all 3 at the same time. But if I can figure it out, then that would be really cool. So that's what I'm doing with it. And then Wendell, you're doing something totally different with it. And then Kane is doing something similar to what I'm doing, except he's using it on a Linux machine. It's usually better to have a Linux box dedicated for this sort of thing. But it does work on Windows as well. And maybe we can make like a little 3-part tutorial where we each go through just what, how we're using it and what we're doing. And I'll bring the Windows users up to speed on that. I think a lot of people will be interested in streaming to multiple, like services like Twitch and Hitbox at the same time. So
The same sort of throttling shenanigans. Kane and I have been sort of poking around at this, and it turns out, the Netflix throttling shenanigans. It turns out that streaming may be so popular that is actually the throttling is kind of happening with ISPs, because Kane noticed that when he would stream to his VPS on Linode, I don't know if it was Linode, but he would stream there instead of directly to Twitch or YouTube. The stream was immediately 1080p, and there were no dropped frames. But when he was streaming to Twitch, there were dropped frames, and it was all kinds of weird. And so that suggests the route between his ISP and Twitch was congested. But when the route went through his own server, it was not congested. There were no dropped frames, and it was solid.
that could be a huge thing for a lot of people who stream regularly or are possibly big streamers who are making a living on this. It would be inexpensive to get yourself a small server for, I mean, $10-20 a month will get you a good one for these purposes, and then streaming to that and using that to spit out a stream to multiple other services. As long as you have a decent connection, then that would be pretty damn nice.
That could also be your VPN server.
Yeah. You could use it for multiple things at once. Ooh, all your traffic could go through there and everything could speed up. Custom personal VPNs are a thing.
Personal server with OwnCloud. And all your email can be delivered there. It can be your online digital assistant.
All right. Next question is magic from Wizard Christ. All right. So after some long time studying your videos on your YouTube channel, I've made some observations and I have a question. Tech Syndicate, where has the magic gone? Wendell, we failed. We're no longer magic. You mean like Walt Disney magic, or do you mean like black magic? Let's read on, shall we? Logan hardly mentions spells at all. My frail old bones hurt more and more every day, and every day I find myself leaning on my staff more and more. I'm finding that I am becoming very old, and a tech syndicate without magic is a sad world to live in. Oh, sure, Logan and Wendell often inform the viewer of the methods of summoning the High Lord Baal with thinly disguised double talk and metaphors of Steve Jobs and Apple products, but the summoning of the creatures of the mono dimension is hardly magic. There's also the complete lack of magic users on the forum. Imagine children growing up to live in their towers without being able to conjure a flame to light their brazier. Indeed. How will these people keep warm during those long, windy nights, writing their endless scrolls? This is getting poetic. I hope this has been a wake-up call to you all. I really do love the show. Also, I am a wizard now. Well, we had a lot of programmers. I was not aware that we had very many wizards. I do want to say to you, sir, Shimham for Osh. So that could be the start of a new, more magical tech syndicate. If you're religious, please don't write hate mail. This is all in jest. Just about time.
We've gotten so large that disclaimer is necessary, and that's where the magic has gone.
Yeah. I was doing an episode of something, and like I say, oh my God, a lot, right? And no one ever mentions anything when I say, oh my God, but I said something silly like I used Satan's butt as a euphemism, and I got a very nasty long letter from someone who was extremely upset that I talk about Satan, quote unquote, all the time and never mention Jesus. And I was like, well, I say, oh God, oh my God, all the time, but the one time I said, oh, Satan's butt, as a euphemistic, exclamatory type statement, I get hate mail. So guys, just stop it. For the
there's a couple.
For the love of the devil, stop it.
This guy, one of the guys that was like one of the core developers on I think like ZFS or something. His beard is like out to here. It's like super awesome. Whatever. Whenever anything like that comes up, he always says $deity.
$deity.
It's like great $deity's balls. I don't know what's causing this. Let's take a look.
I'm gonna start using that $deity. It's better than hashtag. Oh God, because hashtag shouldn't be a thing. Yeah, you know what? This picture would have been appropriate here. Oh, stop it, you, from Zephyr. This next question is from. This is probably our last question. Then we'll do another episode. But this is from the Sir Dylan, and it's just a thank you, Tech Syndicate. Thanks to Tech Syndicate, I switched from my console to PC 6 months ago, and it was the single best gaming decision I have ever made. Thank you to the entire crew and the community. You people are awesome. Not one bit of punctuation in there. You know what? You just came over from console, so I will forgive it, and you can work on your grammar and punctuation later. Right now, you are in the beautiful swimming pool of PC gaming, and the water's fine, is it not? Well, I think that's a good spot to end this episode. We've got a few more. Let me know what you guys think of the general structure of the forum. This is so beautiful. All the things that you can do with it. Wait do you guys see what you can do? Check this out. I'm going to highlight something here. Open. There it is. So normally you can reply, and when you reply, it nests them with the original. You can also reply as a linked topic if it's like really, really cool and you want to make a totally new topic that's like sort of a tangent, but still wants to link back to the main one. Or if you want to do the standard quote thing, because it's something that everyone should see and it'll further the topic, check this out. You highlight and then quote reply. Oh, it's so beautiful. It's very exciting, Wendell. I can't wait till this is finished. But, it's not finished yet. I also like this here. You can go to the top and the bottom.
Code things that are left are cross-site login, which works. We just have to sort of neaten it up. And also, hopefully, the tech support, we got to code in some stuff so people that are paying tech support don't see ads. And so we may launch without any ads until we can figure that out so that the tech support people don't have to see ads.
I had to make a deal with the Computex people. Here's what they said. They loved our stuff from last year and they're really excited. They want us to come back, so they offered to get us a hotel room and they can pay for one plane ticket if we give them a banner ad on the top of the website for a couple of months. And I was like, oh, sure. Tech support members, let me know if you guys would mind if there was, like a Computex, hey, check out Computex banner ad on the top, just, until we go, because we really want to go. And the plane tickets are like $1,600 a piece, maybe even more from flying out of Kentucky. So it would really, really help. And if you guys are understanding, maybe we can... maybe it'd be good. If not, we'll just let us know and we'll figure it out. We'll figure something else out. I'll scrub floors at the local gymnasium or something, make it happen.
Yeah. But it's like, I won't be LAN party gaming at PDX. I'll be writing Ruby, damn Ruby, to do the thing so we can have the ad, but not for tech support members. So.
No, you're taking a break. You got to game every now and then. It's time to take a break.
I can't.
Have fun.
There's no computer that I have that'll fit on a plane, so that's a problem.
Oh, gaming laptop maybe.
Well, yeah, but that can game. I should have said that can game.
All right, I'm calling MSI and seeing if we can get some loaners right now. Maybe one of their crazy mechanical keyboard things. We'll have to send it back for sure because it's big and bulky, but and expensive. But
I can play Half-Life 1 on the Surface. That's all I care about. I'm fine.
Oh man! All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think of the direction of the new website. Not that it's going to change anything. No, really. Let us know what you think.
This is really just the forum, too.
Yeah, it is.
The website will still be the same. It's going to be getting a facelift in the new color scheme, but it's going to be more magazine-like and less jumble of insanity.
Yeah, well, maybe we should cut down on some of the content. I don't know. I like the new forum so much that I'm thinking about just making this the central hub and like telling people like no more user blogs, that no one really used them, no one really looked at them, just talk on the forum. It's maybe, I don't know, if you want to write articles, maybe you can talk to us. We could always use an actual official Tech Syndicate blogger or writer. I don't know. We'll talk about things. We always use the inbox as a place for us to voice things without even talking to each other first. So, yeah, it's good because I like to get the audience's feedback too. So, end of the episode. Enjoy your porridge or whatever you guys are eating right after this. Aren't you guys going to go eat something after this? Pizza porridge? Eat a bowl of pizza porridge. Bye.